So this is part 2 of HR Analytics EDA. In part 1, we created all the KPIs, which you can see here. And in part 2, you will learn how to create these simple pie charts where we are considering two different categorical fields like education field and attrition. And for example here, gender and attrition, and trying to create pie charts. So how to do that is something you are going to learn in this part. And this is all, in this all we are using this HR analytics dashboard as a context. So we will learn attrition by education, we will learn attrition count by gender, and then how to perform attrition by marital status, these three pie charts. Hello everyone, welcome once again to the part 2 of HR analytics EDA, attrition analysis. In part 1 we created KPIs, and in part 2 we will work on some visuals. So we will be creating different type of visuals. So in part 1 you learned how to create these KPIs. Link to part 1 of this series is given in the description of this data, uh, the, this video, from where you can go to part 1 where we have explained everything about what this data is, how to load the data, how to perform basic type of calculations on it, and how to create this KPI table. As a reference, we are using this uh, HR analytics dashboard in Power BI. Now let's start creating our first graphical visual, that is attrition by education. So in attrition by education, even though if you know or don't know Power BI, it doesn't matter. Here you can see a simple donut chart. We can also create a simple pie chart out of it. It will not make too much difference. So here we use a categorical field, which is education field. So when people are working in a company, their education field information is stored. So they are from human resource, life sciences, marketing, etc. And this is one thing. And then this pie chart will represent number of people who are in the education field, life sciences, number of people in medical field, etc. Now let's learn how to create that using Python pandas. Make sure you have imported the pandas library, imported cmon library as SNS. You have read the data and your data frame is ready. Once your data frame is ready and you have the information of your data set, so one easy thing to do will be, we will use df.setIndex. With setIndex, we will use the categorical field as index. So that categorical field at this moment is education field, okay? Because we want to build this first chart, attrition by education, okay? So we will use that. So when you will do this, your data frame which has the range index now will use your education field as a index. Okay, this is one thing. Once it is done, you can now use attrition, like you have attrition value yes or no. So we will select one column here. So we will select attrition dot value underscore counts. So this way we will have a series that attrition is no or yes. But here we don't have information of the education field. Okay. So what we can do here. So here you can see, even when we have used set index as education field and we are selecting attrition, it is only showing us count of it, that is 1242 no and 238 yes cases. This is something that you get with value counts. But what we want to do is, we actually want to group data by education field, and then as an aggregate we want to count how many people, you know, in how many cases attrition is yes and no. So now let's see the entire code. So we will import matplotlib.pyplot as plt as well. Matplotlib is the default plotting library for Python, a most commonly used plotting library. So we will use matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. Assuming df is a data frame, we will create aggregation by education, where we will use the group by method. In group by method, when you have to group by two things, which is education field and attrition, because we want to see attrition by education, right? So we will write education field and attrition, and then we will use we will select attrition from it. So let's keep the code like this. Let's do step by step. So first, if you will write this df.group by attrition, let us write this. So when you will write this, it will group the data frame and by attrition, right? When you will write attrition count, so it will show you count of attrition for different education field. That for human resources, attrition no is 20, yes is 7, for life sciences, and so on. So this way you will be able to create a data frame where education field will be used as an index, then attrition will also be used as an index, and then the attrition count will also be there. Finally, if we will reset index and name count, okay, so what we are doing is we are resetting the index, and the name we are using is count. So now we will reset the index and we will have a final table, a data frame, where education field, attrition, and count will be there. Okay, so that's why what this reset index will do. Now we will create education field. So attrition by education field dot unique. What it will do, it will select only the unique names from this particular table. Okay, so we have created this as attrition by education. So from attrition by education, you will select the unique values. So after selecting the unique values, you will create a list to store attrition count for each education field. Attrition count, so we are creating an empty list here. And then what we are saying for field in education field, basically all the unique names like human resource, life science, marketing, technical degree, medical, other. For field in this education fields, attrition count will be attrition by education. So we are using this particular data frame. From this data frame, we are creating a filter as we created in the first part. We are selecting education field is equal to field. Okay, because every time there will be a new field, it will be selected, and we are only selecting where attrition value is yes. Okay, basically we are looping through this. We have a unique list of education fields. In that we are creating a loop, and from that loop we are only selecting where attrition value is yes, and that's why we are adding count and value 0. And then what we are doing, we are appending everything. We are appending the count in attrition count. Okay, so we have a list and we have count. This way we have the x and y here. Now we will create the pie chart using matplotlib. So we will write plt.py. In pie we will write attrition counts, right, whatever the count value is, and the labels that we are going to use is the education fields list. Auto percentage will be 1%, like 1.1 f means you will see that one decimal place will be used, and start angle will be 90 degree. plt.title attrition count by education field. plt.axis equal aspect ratio ensures that pi is drawn as a circle. Okay, and when you will write this, you can see a pie chart. This will show you attrition count by education field, where you can see human resources, technical degree, other, medical, marketing, life sciences 37.4%. Something similar we saw here, life sciences 37.39, which is approximately 37.4 percentage. So this is a way. You don't have to vary. In the first part, the link that I have provided, in the same link we have this part 2 also. So what I will do here, I will just add a code here and say part 2 starts here, so that you can see, you know, from where to copy the code of part 2. So I'm just putting here. In fact, I can make it as a heading also. So we will write text here, and instead of code I will just add text here and write part 2 starts here. I will make it bold. Okay. So simply it will select that. I will change the styling, don't worry, I'm not wasting time. So this way you can create a pie chart. The main thing to consider here is, here you should have attrition count of each education field, and here you should have labels of each education field. These two should be list, and in these list there should be equal number of values. So, and the main, the simple way of creating that is by creating this. First you group by selecting two categorical fields, then you select any one of them for which you have to do count how many times it has appeared, because we are using attrition count. So it will automatically count that no is 20 times, yes is 7 times. Then you will reset index and name as count. Once this is ready, you will save this at somewhere. So you will save it as education fee, attrition by education. Okay. Now from here, if you will write attrition by education unique, okay. Now I can show you. So if you will write attrition by education unique, you will get a list of all the educational fields that are unique. Okay. You can do this in the original data set also. Like if you will write, simply if you will write df, the original data frame that we have, then also you will get the same thing. So you can do it from there as well. So here you will get the unique value, and then attrition count is an empty list. Then what we are doing, we are looping through it, and in looping what we are doing, we are applying a filter. So in this filter what we are doing, we are selecting a data frame. So the data frame that we are selecting, here you can see education field attrition count technical degree, yes, 32. But since we are iterating, like where education field is equal to field, so attrition field will be something in this, right? So obviously we have to loop through it. So when we will loop through it, it will one by one pick its count, and you know its count and dot values, and we are selecting 0. It will pick its count, and from there we will select the values, and we will select the first value. That's why we have written 0, and then we will simply append it in attrition count, and this way we will be able to create a pie chart attrition count by education field. Now we have, let's say we have very simple something like this, attrition count by gender. Okay, so here also we have gender and sum of attrition count. So what you can do, like you can select this, okay, and you can paste it here and just change like attrition by gender, because we want to main, this is attrition analysis, how many people have left. So here all you have to do is you have to select the proper field name for gender however it is given. So let me just go through the table. I think it is given as gender itself. Yeah, gender, I was just making sure. So now you can copy this, okay, and wherever education is written, education field is written, you can substitute it with gender. Similarly here, okay, and here we can write gender fields is equal to, although in gender we have only two fields, so we can do it in a different way as well, but let's try the same thing. And this will be attrition by gender, okay, and then attrition count will be this for field in gender fields. Here instead of attrition by education we will, okay, and here we will write gender is equal to field, and attrition by education, attrition is equal to, yes, count values, and in attrition counts we will append this. Pie chart will be this, and education field will be this. Everything will be same. We will simply write by gender fields. Let's see. You can see only integer slices ellipsis. So we are getting error here. Let's see what issue is there. So in this line we are getting error. Basically here the mistake that I made was in selecting the wrong name of data frame. This will be attrition by gender, and this will be like that, okay. So because this is the list, so you will simply run it now and you will see the output that in case of male employee 63.4% is attrition and 36.6% is female attrition. So you can see here also that in case of male 63.4 and in case of female 36.5. Okay. Similarly, you can also do for marital status. All you have to do is step by step. You have to create a strategy. First, create group by count index, write attrition by marital status. Then create marital status field, that is single, married, or whatever, and then create attrition count, and finally create a loop and the plot. So this way you can create pie charts, which is the purpose of this second part, where we learned how to create different pie charts. In the third part, we will go with different type of bar charts that are there. Until now, you can practice this much.